Mr. Katzenberg, first of all, thank you for your time. I feel like this is such a loaded question right now, but I just want to ask, like, how are you doing and how's your family doing?
We're sheltered in place like everyone else out here in LA, and kind of locked down and waiting for the wave to hit us. Our both our mayor and our governor here have been very, very aggressive very early on, and so there's a seems like there's a little bit more level of preparedness here, but when the tsunami hits, it hits, and we know it hasn't arrived yet. So we're prepared for the worst and hoping for the best.
Absolutely, and I hope you guys stay safe. I saw a post on social media the other day that said the next time you want to deem the arts not essential, remember back to the time when you were quarantined and isolated, and remember all the TV shows that you binged watch and the movies that you watched and the books that you read. Do you think this period of time in history is going to make people look back at arts and entertainment differently?
Oh, for sure. I think we look back at everything differently. I don't think anything is the same again. I mean, this is, at a level of disruption, a dislocation, that is just so beyond anything any of us have ever, dealt with, thought about, imagined. And we're only at the beginning of this. And so to try and look in our crystal ball and say what's going to be, I certainly don't have that ability. But everything is going to be changed, and nothing's going to go back to the way it was before. And I think, at least I'm thinking that way. That doesn't mean things can't find ways to be better, ways to do things. Adversity is the mother of invention, and we're facing extreme adversity. But out of this, there are going to be paths forward for all of these things that matter to us in our culture and our society. We will get people back to work. We will get these businesses back open. We will figure out how to travel. We will figure out how to sports. We'll figure out how to be at movies. Like, that stuff's going to get figured out. It may not be in 3 months or 6 months or a year, but in the long term, it will.
I want to go back to some of the things we were talking about at the beginning and really talk about the state of cinema right now. I think a lot of things are up in the air. There was a story that came out about AMC theaters and their credit rating, and then people wondering whether or not they were going to make it out of this. And I think that people would like to hear some sort of reassuring news from someone that knows the industry better than most. I mean, what do you think is going to come out of the state of theaters? Is movie going to be the same? Is it going to be okay coming out of this?
Well, I'm an optimist about it. People like shared experiences. So, these things are, as we talked about, they're all going to change. They're going to be different, but it doesn't mean they're going to go away. Do you think live sports is going to go away? Do you think people are going to stop going to, football and basketball? I don't think that's going to happen. Do I think we're going to do it in the same way going forward that we've done it in the past? No, I don't. And so, there's so many businesses. Do you think you're going to get on a cruise ship the way you used to, or, get on an airplane, or, take vacations to international places around the world? Everything's changed, but these things aren't going to go away. We're just going to adapt and do them in different ways. Now, here's the thing is that, if you want to go all the way out on this, there is going to be a vaccine. There is actually going to, the most brilliant scientists in the world. I read today, Bill Gates personally spending billions of dollars. They are going to come up with a vaccine for this particular pandemic, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But what it does do is it open our eyes to a place of extreme vulnerability that this world has not dealt with in 100 years. So we'll be better prepared next time.
I have such a respect for everything that you've done in this industry, and you've seen it change so much. And thinking about now that we're talking about streaming apps and streaming services, I'm curious as to you saw the day and age when home video came around, and then DVD and Blu-ray. At what point did you start realizing that we were going to start having access to not just everything on our television, but everything just right here?
Yeah, I think probably for me it was 6, 7 years ago, 2012, 13. I got involved with, a YouTube channel called Awesomeness TV. And that really was sort of my education. I learned from the founder of it, Brian Robbins, who was just a great storyteller, came out of movies and television. And I've kept my eye on that ever since, as it has just exploded, our interest and our consumption, as we have these billions of devices and people watching billions of hours every day. It just seemed like an opportunity waiting to happen.
Well, you talk about it exploding. You're absolutely right. It's sort of turned into, a lot of people are sort of comparing it to the Wild West right now. So what is the difference between a streaming service and an app that you have to have versus one that you hear about and go, that's okay? And do you look at, without naming any other potential competitors, do you look at other streaming services and apps and say, well, I don't like that they do that, so we want to learn from that and adjust accordingly?
Yeah, I think ours is, for right or for wrong, we've headed off into what you would call a white space where nobody else is. So we're not competing with Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or Apple TV Plus or Amazon, all of them. Right? They're in the TV business.
Mm-hmm.
90% of their content are watched either on TV sets or laptops or desktops or tablets. Less than 10% is watched on a phone. 100% of ours is on a phone. I don't know about you, but before the pandemic and now in the middle of it, I have these small breaks and times in the course of my day. There's not enough time for me to watch an episode of Ozark, which I'm loving, right? I don't have time to do that. I have to wait and do it at night or on the weekends in this. Quibi, you have these in between times. Now, they're different today than they were 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago, as you were commuting or waiting online for Starbucks or whatever. Today, you're homeschooling your kids. You have in between moments. You're doing chores, or we're online working as you and I are now, and you take breaks during the day. And that's where I think Quibi can actually be, very, very valuable for people. And the social media platforms that I love, YouTube and Instagram TV and Snapchat and TikTok, I'm on all of them. I play with all of them. That's not what Quibi is.
I really
Quibi
want to
is
follow you on TikTok. That is an absolute thing that I have to do when this is done. I'm going to look you up and follow you. We love, obviously, here in Chicago, one of our favorite sons is Chance the Rapper. And I know you guys are doing some very cool stuff with him. What has it been like to collaborate with someone, one of the most incredible artists working today?
He is so, well, you just said it. I mean, he is such a talent. He is so much fun. He is such a exuberant enthusiast. He threw himself into this show. I think Punked is one of the great shows on the platform. And we even know just from early users today, everybody is just charging in there and it's playing really, really, really well. He's really special. He's really talented and he's a great partner. He's just been fantastic for Quibi. And all I'm saying to you, Jake, is this is the first little baby step towards a different way of doing things. And so at every step for Quibi, when there's been a pothole, when there's been a speed bump, when there's been a steel reinforced brick wall, we have found a way to innovate. We have found a way to work around. We have found a way to launch this today and deliver something that we couldn't be prouder of. I think people are going to really enjoy the content. And the one thing that has worked for me for 45 years is whenever I've had great content, it always works, always. And so my feeling is the most talented people in Hollywood, all of these people that you talk about have shown up. They've put themselves 110% into this and they've delivered great content. And I think ultimately when people check this out, they will see this is new, it's fun, it's really, really interesting and good. And I think it will succeed. And it's not measured in what we do in the next 3 or 6 months in it. It's what happens over the next year or two. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And what happens day 1 or day 3 or when we're in the middle of coronavirus isn't going to define our success or failure.
Mr. Katzenberg, I really, I could talk to you all day, but I think that that sign of optimism and that positive note is the perfect place to end the conversation. I've always wanted to sit across from you and chat with you. I think this will do for now. Hopefully we'll get to meet in person again very soon.
I look forward to that. Be safe.
You too, sir. Take care. Pleasure. Thank you.